It's time for another Dice Tower Drive-By Review with Scott Farah.
Hi, and welcome to another Dice Tower board game review. Now, you may have noticed we have not put out a review for a couple of weeks. That's because this guy went to Vegas and didn't bring me back a souvenir. So in honor of his trip to Las Vegas, we'll start with I'm Siegfried.
And I'm Roy.
Which one got his face with the tiger?
I think that was...
hopefully that was Roy. Otherwise known as Brian, and the guy who doesn't bring back souvenirs for his brother.
Also known as Patrick, the guy who's usually behind the camera.
This week we're going to be looking at Sergeant's Miniatures, Day of Days. It's kind of a starter set for a miniatures/board game. It's put out by Lost Battalion Games, and we'll be doing things a little bit differently. We're going to do this review in two parts. Mostly because it's a really big game, it's pretty complicated, but also because we have a lot to say about this game after playing it a few times. So this first review is going to be about the components. And as you'll see, there's a reason why we're going to spend so much time talking about the components in this review. However, how do the components really look, rather than just us talking about it? Well, let's pop open the box and find out. I'm going to start with the basic components of the game first. If you notice, we have several decks of cards on the map. This first deck at the top here, this is called the story deck. That actually controls your movement of your characters and what actions they can take each round. This deck right here is something that I'm really psyched about. That is the objective deck. Each player will have different objectives that are chosen at random based upon the scenario you choose. So your opponent never knows really what your personal objective is for the game. And as you know me, that's really big for something I look for in a game. Down here, this is the character deck. Now, if you notice, there's a character card or two in here that tell you about your character. It gives you their stats, their characteristics, how far they can shoot. But also in the deck are their action cards. These action cards are to be matched up with the story deck, and it tells you what your character can do that round or for that turn. Up here, we have a book of scenarios. Now, the neat thing about the scenario book is it tells you how to set up the map, what the map should look like. It also tells you the objective cards that you should select during that map or during that scenario. We have a bunch of little pieces. Now, those are placed next to your character when certain actions occur during the games. This one says pin, others says that your character has been sighted by the enemy, and we'll explain more of those on the next video. There's the all-important ruler. This is what tells us the character movement and the range that they can shoot. And finally, there's the rule book. Now, something that you're going to hear us talk a lot about is the rules and the rule set. That's probably our biggest problem with the game right now, is this rule set or this rule book is still in development. If you look online, there are a lot of facts about the rule book, a lot of updates, a lot of clarification, and that's something really that needs to be tightened down a little bit in this game. You'll hear a lot about that later in the next video as well. Now, here's the map for the first scenario in Day of Days. As you can see, the pieces are all interlocking, which is nice because it holds them together when you move or bump the board. All of the tiles look like this. They are double-sided. And the number there is 30A, so on the scenario booklet, if it says you need tile 30A in the top corner, you find this one. But they're also double-sided, so that you can have more maps with fewer pieces, which is kind of nice. There's a lot of variety in the maps and the type of terrain you can build. Looking back at the main map, you can see there's pastures, there's bushes and trees, you have roads, which often give you +1 to movement because it's smooth, non-hilly ground to walk on, so to speak. There are fields, and it's just everything's well painted. The color scheme is really nice. It's just great artwork. Now, if there's a little glare from the lights up above, we've really worked to try to eliminate that. But that's because these pieces are so darn well made. They're kind of glossy, they're solid, of very high quality. It's not just the artwork, but it's the actual cardboard they use too. Around the board, you'll see that there's this border. Now, the squares are for soldiers. This is where you put your character cards with your stats. Here's where you play your 3 action cards and lay them out. And then you've got your draw deck and your discard deck. As you play the cards, you discard them over here. These pink boxes at the bottom, this is where the story deck goes. And like we said, that was the big fat deck where you play the events that happen during gameplay. So each player sits at one side playing their cards. You've got the story deck here, the discards down here, and it all fits together really well and it looks really nice. It adds to the game quite a bit when you have quality work like this. The one downside to this board is that while they show you how to make the board and they number all the pieces and they have great instructions for this part of the map, they don't have such good instructions as far as making the border, especially when you add in the expansions, which we have the Road to Carentan. To make a larger map, you have a lot more of these border pieces. It doesn't necessarily what goes where, and they only fit together a certain way, so you'll find yourself fiddling with them and playing around with them until you get it just right, and it wastes a little bit of time. The instructions could have been a little more clear on that, which goes back to, like we said, the instruction booklet needs some work.
Now the components we just talked about a minute ago, the map, the cards, those are very impressive. Well made, laminated, great detail. However, the part of this game that is really impressive are the figurines themselves. Now this is a World War II based game, and the figurines you see in front of you, at least the front four, come with the starter set. 4 US troops, 4 German troops. Now what you see in front of you are pewter figurines. They were hand painted by the company. Believe me, you would know if my brother or I painted these. These are very well detailed. Now the really impressive part about this is each one of these figurines, if you look at the back, has a name and a dog tag associated with them. Now in the original starter set, there are certain of these characters that everyone will receive, which means the same name and dog tags. However, with the additional sets and the add-ons, each character that is created, each figure that is created will have a unique dog tag number. Now the last name may be repeated, but the dog tag number will be unique to that figurine. And that is important because each figurine comes with their own set of character cards. As you see, it matches the last name and the dog tag number of the character that I just showed you. What really impresses me about this is that this is a really impressive collectible game. In that when I buy an add-on, I will have different figure with a different serial number than my friends or my other people of my game group will have with a different card. Now, the figurines themselves or the molds might be the same, but the stats on the card and the dog tag number will be unique. Okay. Also, different figurines will have different molds. As you see, this one has a rocket launcher, this is a commander, and this is a machine gunner based upon what they have in their hands. The character cards that come with them are reflective of the figurine that you see here. He has a different set of range information, different command abilities for that character, and this character has the ability to take multiple shots at once. So everything fits really good together in regards to the figurine that you see, the character card that you have, and the stats on that character card. This is a very well thought out part of the game.
Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about in this part 1 of our review of Sergeant Miniature's Day of Days is the way they're releasing it. Okay, now Lost Battalion Games is a small publisher. Because of that, one of the biggest complaints online is the price and the fact that, yes, it is a bit of an investment to get into this game. However, keep in mind that the quality of components is possibly some of the best I've ever seen, and I would say probably the best that I saw last year in 2011. Keep in mind you're getting a customizable double-sided map that you can make several different versions of because of the different scenarios in here. You can rearrange them in various ways. They'll always fit together because of the way they're cut. You get lots of cards. You're getting 8 pewter pre-painted miniatures that are of high quality with their own decks of cards to play with. And there's a lot in here. So overall, because they're a small publisher and they're releasing it themselves, and in fact you have to go to lostbattaliongames.com to buy it, the price is going to be a little bit higher, but you're getting quality. The other problem is this is a large map, or at least it appears to be a large map, but because of the stats, you can spot people from clear across the map, all the way across the board, most of the time on a smaller map like this. So then it's almost a requirement that, hey, let's save up and get the first expansion, Road to Carentan, because what this adds is no more figures, but it doubles the number of boards that you have. so you can make a map literally twice this size. And as you can see, this one fills up this table from edge to edge. You would need a very large table or push a couple together, but it is worth it. At that point, you have armies coming in from both sides of the board, and they're far enough away that they can't automatically spot each other, shoot each other, or whatever, unless somebody shortboards you and comes in right next to you. So it is worth it, but you are probably going to want to buy Road to Karen 10 also on top of it. So that's just something to keep in mind. But with the quality and with the small developer, you get that small town feel. You get that, I don't know how to say it, but you feel like you're supporting your own friendly local store or whatever. They're very nice. They're helpful. If people post a question on Board Game Geek, it's usually one of the developers that's the first to respond and clarify a rule or answer a question. If people have a problem, they take care of it. They're posting all over the place, and you kind of get the feel that they really want to support this game. They're going around, they're showing it themselves at all the conventions, so you get high quality. In fact, with the characters that I bought, inside each box it says that's put together by number 1. I assume number 1 is one of their employees. In which case, if that is true, number 1 and number 3 put together all of the pieces that I got, and they did an excellent job. And again, you just kind of get that feel that they have that quality control, and they really want everything to be the best that it can be. In my opinion, it's worth the money. Okay, so this was just part 1, looking at the components, talking a little bit about the cost and the developer themselves. Overall, what do you think?
Components, amazing, fantastic. Pewter, hand-painted, map is fantastic. The moment my brother opened up the box for me, I was blown away. One of the best games I've seen created, developed stylistically in components.
I kind of already gave my thoughts in that last segment there. I agree. I think everything is really well put together. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. And if people say it's too expensive, I'm sorry, but you're getting more in this box than you normally would, and with most games. And if you want something, I'm a big believer, if you want something bad enough, you will save up and get it. Instead of buying 2 board games, save up and wait and just buy this one instead, because you're getting a good game overall.
And now that you're supporting, from what we've experienced, a great company. I mean, there's just something to be said about that I'm excited to see what they come out with in the future. Now the next question is, how does it play?
And we'll get to that in our second video segment, which will be posted shortly.
And by the way, if you're going to play the game that my brother created about my Fog of War comments, you better line them up, because it's going to be a long session for you. See you in a little bit.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.